I have just created the best card you will ever see, and you cannot even debate me about it. So continue watching this video and let me know what you think of the card down below. But I'm not really an outfit. I guess I've got to change.
UFC Jerusalem, the Crusade card.
John Jones is still...
So the first fight is actually happening in real life quite soon, and it's at the flyweight division. It's Amir Al-Bazzi versus Brendan Moreno. Now this is actually happening on the 2nd November on a fight night card. It's leading it. I didn't even think of this, and it just came to me. The Lord's voice, Dana White, you came to me, son. So this is very interesting. Now Mr. Moreno, he's been in the spotlight longer. People know him more. Potentially that might be a disadvantage. Remember when McGregor went against Aldo? I think McGregor and Aldo are about a year apart or something like that, but McGregor would refer to Aldo as like an old 29-year-old because he's been in the sport for so long, and competing at such a high level, is that going to be a massive factor against Moreno coming into this fight? Whereas we see potentially someone who is hungry for the spotlight, who's hungry to get that gold. I mean, look at his picture. He looks vicious. He looks like he's about to bite my head off if I don't pick him. However, I personally think Moreno gets this done. I potentially think he might be champion. I think Moreno might have another shot at the title, and that's about it. But I do think he gets this done. I think the experience of Moreno is just going to be a little bit more that edges him, pause on that, to winning this fight. He's gone against very dangerous opponents. I'm not saying Amir hasn't gone against a lot of good opponents. He is 17-1. I think Moreno is 21 wins here with 8 losses. So Moreno, you know, his plan has been found out. He has lost 8 times. It is a significant amount of times to lose, but he has been fighting at such a high level. And I think this might be a controversial pick because I don't think Moreno's favorite going into this fight. However, I have to back Moreno here. I just think with the experience, he has more of that experience at fighting at a top level, championship fights. He's won the belt. He knows what it's like to go 5 rounds. He knows the pressure of the UFC. I just feel like he gets this done. Now the next fight, I reckon will be top 3 fights. I reckon people will blow their mind when I say this. At the bantamweight level, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Dominic Cruz. Now these fighters are in their prime. It's not going to be a 39-year-old Dominic Cruz versus a 28-year-old Umar, but it'll be both in their prime that I'm judging this, unless it's like the previous fight where they're actually fighting. Umar's from Dagestan, which is going to be a lot of Dagestani fighters on here because apparently they're just evolving. They used to just be really terrible standing up, and then it's just the takedowns they'll take you with. But now all of a sudden, Islam and Umar are very good on the feet as well as very good on the ground. And he's also 18-0, so he hasn't even tasted a loss yet, which is insane. Dominic Cruz, he's 39, he's 29-4 from America. However, the reason why I'm putting Dominic Cruz to beating Umar is because Dominic Cruz is classed as one of the best fighters to exist. I'd class him as the 2nd best bantamweight fighter, just below Mighty Mouse, even though he beat Demetrius Johnson. He beat Demetrius Johnson, what I'm classing as the GOAT of the UFC. Overall, he's beaten him. So I think prime Dominic Cruz would be Umar, which I believe is in his prime now. I think it'll be a very close fight, but I think Dominic Cruz gets the win. The next fight is at featherweight. Movsar Evelev versus Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo is a Christian. Now, with Movsar, I wanted to get where he was originally from. It got changed. So he's from Russia, but he is from Ozdy Honkolidilezevdikaya. Now Suncha. That's a mouthful. Now personally, I actually have beef with Evlov. He beat Arnold Allen, who's one of my favorite fighters. I believe Arnold Allen won. How dare you beat my English prospect that I've been rooting for years? I want him to be champion. How dare you beat him and you didn't actually win, you liar. This is a no contest overthrow. Not even a no contest. It's a win for Arnold Allen. Despicable. Also beat Diogo Lopez, who's potentially going to be the next champion too. So he has a very good record himself. But to go against Jose Aldo in his prime, prior to McGregor knocking him out in 13 seconds, the king of Rio de Janeiro, Jose Aldo. It's another win for the Christians. Jose Aldo beats him, hands down easily. One leg kick, breaks his whole leg, ends his whole career. Now, it does take a turn later on in the fights, but you cannot argue that Jose Aldo, the prime Jose Aldo, is not going to beat him. There's just no way. No way. 10 years undefeated, not having it. This is where it gets a bit changing now. The lightweight division. I could say Khabib to do lightweight, but why would I when I have Islam Makhachev, the champion, potentially the evolved fighter of Khabib due to his striking? Islam Makhachev is 32 years old and he's 26-1. Mr. Money himself, Renato Moicano. I need money, Dana. You're gonna get money, Mr. Renato. He is 35 years old. He's 20-5 with a 1 no contest or draw. I don't know. And he's from Brazil. Now, I think this is a pretty easy decision. Islam takes this. I don't know who's going to beat Islam Makhachev, to be brutally honest with you. The guy's absolutely insane. Potentially getting better than Khabib's record himself. You know, people will say Khabib's the GOAT. If Islam keeps winning, it's the Prodigy's taken over the master in that GOAT status from the Dagestani fighters. So I think it's a somewhat easy win for Islam. I like money, but I'm going to have to go Islam. The Muslims have won a fight here at 155. Islam Makhachev, you have got it. This next fight, I just had to add him in. Is at the welterweight. I just had to add him in. I could have gone with fighters like Belair, who is the current welterweight champion, or even Usman, who reigned for the welterweight champion for quite a long time. But I'm going to go for someone that I think is going to be the welterweight champion by the end of next year. It's Shavkat. Shavkat's 29 years old. He's 18-0 from Uzbekistan. He's an absolute animal, not just inside the ring, but also Lauren Sanko absolutely loves him, so he's doing something right. But he's next champion for me at welterweight. He was meant to go against Khamzat Chimaev. That was a big fight that was kind of pushed along, but it never went anywhere with it, and Khamzat went up in weight because he couldn't make the weight at welterweight. The person fighting him has had one fight at welterweight, and he won an arm choke against Jody Burke back in 2001. But I put Tim Kennedy here because he was an ex-master sergeant in the US Special Forces, and I think we got to have some American freedom on this fight card. And what better fight to have than Tim Kennedy, that's actually served in the Special Forces, gone up the ranks, fought at welterweight once and won, and then moved up in his career. But I'm hanging on to a thread, but it doesn't matter because Shavkat is just going to absolutely destroy him. I like Tim Kennedy, but he's not standing in the same octagon as Mr. Shavkat because he's bloody insane. Next champion for sure. Woo! What a next fight we've got here, ladies and gentlemen, at the middleweight contention in Jerusalem, the Crusader card from Dana White UFC. It is the man Khamzat Chimaev, 13-0 from Chechnya. He is about to fight Bobby Knuckles. However, at welterweight, why would I not put him against Anderson Silva, the Catholic himself? He is 49, but this is all about prime fights. He's 34-11 from Brazil. Khamzat Chimaev versus prime Anderson Silva. How does that really go? That would be an insanely close fight. Am I just picking on the fact of Anderson Silva being one of the best of all times versus Khamzat Chimaev, which we know what he can do with his takedown ability? Am I ignoring that just to put Anderson Silva? I'm going to pick Anderson Silva. Well, Khamzat beat Robert Whittaker quite convincingly, and I'm pretty scared of him. So, yeah. He's going to win this one. I'm sorry, Anderson Silva. You're one of the greats, but that takedown was absolutely nasty, and then he essentially disclared his jaw with a squeeze. So, Khamzat, you win this. It's Magomed Ankalaev. It's Magomedov and Kylev. He's 32 years old. He's 18-1-1-1. So that means 1 loss, 1 no contest, and 1 draw. And he's, of course, from Dagestan. They're getting stronger. They're getting bigger. They're going into light heavyweight divisions now. I don't know what's happening. What is this? But if you are a middle of UFC fan, you would know who this is. Vitor Belfort. At the moment, he's 47. He's 26-14 from Brazil. He's tied for the 5th most finishes in UFC history at 14. So he has knockout power. He is classed as one of the greatest too. Prime Vitor. Matey is roided through the roof. I don't care anymore. Vitor, I'm talking prime, and so happens to be... Yeah, I mean, he lost against Dan Henderson, I think it was, and he wasn't having the best record then, so it might be post-steroids. But we'll let him off. The test wasn't great back then, so he most probably was still on steroids. So we'll let him off with that. We're not doing any drug testing for Vitor. Everyone else is going to get drug tested, but Vitor, my man, don't worry. We'll go back in time. You can take your steroids, and we'll go forward in time for this crusade, because we want you in your prime. So the man has a good right hand. He has a good... Oh, knee. Fucking hell. I'm flexible, and yeah, clearly. The issue is when you have prime fighters is that we know what they've done, and it's very hard to look past that as them being one of the best of the time. Vitor maybe top 10, maybe top 15 of all UFC fighters. Magomed is chasing for that light heavyweight goal. Okay, he has a fight coming up against, I think, Racket. Tennis racket. So we can only go on based on what he's done recently, because this is what I would say is in his prime, on the come up of potentially being the light heavyweight champion. He has to go against one fight and then Alex Pereira potentially in his next fight, unless Pereira for some reason fights someone else. But hey ho, let's go. It's a difficult one because Magomed has really good ground game. I mean, Vitor did choke out Anthony Johnson. May rest in peace. Absolute legend of the sport. So he does have a ground game there. But I am going to have to go with Vitor just due to how vicious his knockouts were. And I think where he does have a ground game, I don't think it would be as scary as potentially Alex Pereira facing him. I think Vitor has a better chance than Alex Pereira would against Magomed. And I think Alex Pereira gets it done against Magomed. So it'd be very hypocritical of me to pick Magomed against Vitor if I think Vitor is going to beat him and he has better ground game than Alex. But also, his stand-up is insanely good. So I think Magomed gets knocked out clean by Vitor. Knock him out clean. I don't think anyone would have imagined me making this fight. This is probably one of the greatest fights to probably ever exist if it was to happen in both their primes. Alex Pereira versus Fedor Emelianenko. I'm terrible with Russian names. Alex Pereira is 37, he's 14-2, and he's from Brazil. I think he is a Muslim, or he's accepting the fate of Islam. I'm not too sure. I read up on it. I'm pretty sure he's a Muslim. So fair play to Alex Pereira. Fedor is 48, he's 40-7-1, and he's from Russia. Now, this isn't as biased because Alex Pereira is my favorite fighter right now. However, Fedor, I class as the GOAT of the whole MMA. UFC is different, but the whole MMA, I class Fedor as the GOAT. If we're talking Fedor of fighting Chael Sonnen or his Bellator days with these last few fights, Alex Pereira is winning within about 20 seconds. It was so sad to see Fedor fight in Bellator because he did have a glass jaw, and I tried to ignore it every single time, but as soon as he got hit, he was like he was on ice. He was just trying to grapple and do sambo on him. So it was very sad to see, and I never really saw anyone comment on it, and maybe I'm just imagining it, but it was horrible to see. It was horrible to see. But if we're talking prime, Fedor took revenge on Krokop for beating his brother. That type of prime. Mr. Pride himself. Fedor versus Alex Pereira. I'm telling you now, I would not care about the grappling and on the floor movement of trying to get submission from Fedor if it's just a continuous sambo onslaught on Alex Pereira's legs to get him down and suffocate him. This is a bloke that got picked up, and as he was getting chucked down on his head, his expression didn't change. Alex Pereira's hook is not going to do anything to him. His expression is not going to change. He's going to get hit by a hook, and then he's just going to turn into a sambo and just get him down and win by ground and pound. Alex Pereira would not know what hit him. Big fan of Alex Pereira, but Fedor, MMA GOAT in my opinion. So Fedor wins this. We have one fight left. You got to imagine this. This is the press conference. Everyone's there. It's like the good old UFC days. Everyone's around the table. You know, it's McGregor looking back. Hey, it's a red panty night. That isn't even an Irish accent. Who the fuck are you? That type of press conference when everyone was like, this is amazing. Now it's so weak. Okay? We have all these fighters here. And then secretly announced Khabib versus Conor McGregor 2. Imagine the press conference. Imagine everyone around in their prime and all this stuff. Insane. That's got to sell you. Surely that's got to sell you. That'd be amazing. A Catholic versus a Muslim right there. The number 2 fight. It's the biggest rivalry in the UFC. A lot went on. If you don't know, you have to check out. Look at the press conference between Khabib versus McGregor. It's intense. Conor McGregor is 37 years old right now. He's 22-6 and he's from Ireland. Khabib is 36, 29-0 and from Dagestan. Now, who am I gonna pick? Everyone's sitting here, oh, he's gonna try and turn it to make it sure it's McGregor. And you're damn right, it's McGregor. No, I'm kidding. I don't know why I'm trying to host this like a game show. But no, it's not McGregor. I think it would be a good fight if McGregor was active since, but we're also looking in prime. Prime McGregor versus prime Khabib is a closer fight to the fight they had. We're looking at McGregor as just beating Eddie Alvarez, douche, whatever he did. What is it? Left, right, knocks him down, bang. And then Khabib, I reckon his prime was probably against McGregor, Poirier, Gaethje. You know, that was his prime there. You know, you got to think about McGregor's karate stance against Aldo, against Alvarez. However, we do have a wrestler against McGregor in his prime, because even at 145, that was his prime. And he went against Chad Mendes, and Chad Mendes took him down quite easily. McGregor was quite good off his back, but Mendes took him down quite easily. Khabib in his prime against McGregor then, which I don't think McGregor was training jiu-jitsu as hard as he was going forward towards the Khabib fight. I think he trained a lot of wrestling takedown against him, whereas before I don't think it was as much due to his right hand being the knockout power that everyone should be afraid of, until Nate Diaz came out of nowhere and was like, yeah, what's up? Yeah, what's up? Come on, stuck in slap. But I'm gonna have to give it Khabib. I think it would end actually probably sooner. I think McGregor had a better chance later on. I don't know why, but I just do. I think if McGregor took that camp seriously and wasn't drinking loads of alcohol and partying, etc., and actually trained and was active, I think McGregor could have beaten him. But I think McGregor's inactivity is the downfall of McGregor, with having that ego, thinking he's still that double champ, knocking out Eddie Alvarez in such an insane fashion, one of the best fights to ever exist in the UFC. I don't think McGregor at any point in his career could beat Khabib. There we have it. 9 fights in total. The Christians versus the Muslims in the Jerusalem card for the final Crusade in UFC. 5-4 to the Christians. Baldwin, he'd be happy. So there we have it. Now this might be controversial picks, especially Brendan Moreno. However, that's what the comment section is for. Let me know down below who you think should win these fights out of the 9 fights, who you would add on, what you think about the card. Do you like the card? Because I thought I made a stellar card here, by the way.
UFC Jerusalem, the Crusade card.
John Jones is...